Hi, and welcome back to Politidoxy. I'm your host, Aaron Friedman. I'm very excited to announce that today we have a very special guest because I've been admiring him from afar. I've been seeing a lot of things he's been doing, and it's a great honor to have here Brandon Stracka, who is the founder of the Walk Away movement. And I would, before we continue on, I would like you to introduce yourself on your own terms, and we'll continue on from there.
Sure. Thanks for having me. My name is Brandon Stracka. As you said, I started the Walk Away movement, which is people who are walking away from the Democratic Party, or have or are on their way, or whatever. So yeah, we started a Facebook group in 2018 where people were uploading their video and written testimonials, sharing their stories. And then from there, we kind of became an organization that travels around the country doing live events and creating video content and things like that geared toward minority communities, college kids, etc. Just trying to get people waking up, thinking for themselves, and walking away from the left.
That's awesome. And there've been a lot of people who are actually they've gotten their ideas and their journey started because of the walkaway movement. And I've got to speak to some of them myself. You probably know Natalie Beisner. She in a way she had her own journey, but in part she found camaraderie within the walkaway movement. So let's first, for those who don't know you, and why and what made you first leave the Democrat Party. What made you leave the liberal movement?
Yeah, so I was liberal my entire adult life. I voted for Obama twice. I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, and I made the decision to leave the Democrats because when Trump got elected, people start going really crazy and getting really upset. I was one of them. I was very angry and confused and outraged, and I went on a journey to try to understand how he got elected and how the media that I trusted had gotten it so wrong. And there was a very pivotal moment for me where in January of 2017, right around the time he was about to take office, I went on Facebook and I posted that I would never be able to understand how anyone could vote for a man who was capable of mocking a disabled reporter. And that's when somebody reached out to me privately with a video entitled Debunking That Trump Mocked the Disabled Reporter, which was basically a compilation of footage showing very conclusively and compellingly that Donald Trump had been doing this voice and this gesture for many years, long before that rally when he was accused of mocking a reporter's disability, but that this is a bit that he does anytime he's imitating anybody who's flailing because they're caught in a lie or caught doing something shady or dishonest. So it really opened my eyes for the first time to the possibility that the media that I had trusted was capable of spinning a moment out of context and creating a false narrative to manipulate my emotions and try to control the way that I think and the way that I feel. And so then I did this kind of deep dive to try to understand how often is this happening and why. And after many months of researching the media and does the media lie, and are they lying about Trump and his supporters and all these different things, um, I I came to the conclusion that I could no longer be a Democrat. I could no longer support the media structure I'd been supporting, and it upended almost every belief I had, liberal belief that I had.
Right. Do you consider yourself to be after the switch, you became a more of an independent person, or would you say you're more conservative?
Well, I definitely consider myself a conservative, and I registered Republican at the end of 2017, some November, something like that, of 2017. So I've been a registered Republican ever since. Uh, but then a lot of things have happened in the last few years, and so I've really been. I've come to question, I'd say, my allegiance to the Republican Party as well, because not that the two things are the same, they're not, but it's like I left the left because I discovered that they were lying and deceiving and manipulating and things like that. But when I came over to the right, I did a great deal of work and I kind of gave my life in service, I feel like, to the conservative movement and the Republican Party. And I was severely brutalized after January 6th by the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the media, and many other things. And my feeling was that I was very much abandoned by the Republican Party. And so I don't know. To me, I question a lot at this point where I really belong, because I don't want to be a part of a party that lies and deceives and manipulates, but I also don't want to be a part of a party that is disloyal and cowardly and turns their backs on people who fight so hard for them. So in a lot of ways, I kind of feel politically homeless all over again.
Yeah, I feel the same way, especially here in New York. As a matter of fact, I will just say this: the Republican Party here in New York has shown actually to be a little bit more competent than I initially thought. We had some great victories in the previous election here in New York, although Republicans are self-sabotaging, so they threw out George Santos because, oh no, he said some
Right.
stuff that, it's not completely truthful. I don't care. The question, and the people have called him, oh, he's a liar. I said, guess what? Everybody in Congress is a liar, more or less. He's the people's
Right.
liar. So the question is, who are you going to lie for? Are you going to lie for the people, or for the are you going to lie for your constituency, or are you going to lie for the lobbyists? And I say, I prefer somebody who's going to lie for the people. I'm not even going to go into he lied about this or that. I don't care. The question is, what is he lying about? He's doing what his people sent him here to do, and you guys threw him out. So that is, in my opinion, an unforgivable thing. As a matter of fact, they threw him out because not before there was a proper investigation, a whole bunch of things. Let's not get into that too much. So
Right.
I feel exactly what you feel, but the only reason why I consider myself to be still a Republican is because of I want to be able to vote in the primaries. But my question to the party is always this: Are you going to do what the people do, or are you going to be competent? It doesn't listen. If the Republican Party were as they are right now, but they were more competent, it wouldn't bother me so much, because then you work yourself way up there, and then you use the party for more conservative things, right? Let's say they're a little too liberal, no problem. We will get into positions of power and use the competency of the Republican Party to win elections and get more conservative people. Or are you for the people? And at this point, they're neither. So I completely concur with what you're saying. So you've walked us through what woke you up, and it's mainly treachery. Not treachery. Sorry, it's treachery to your beliefs, core beliefs and values. And in a way, we see it from both sides. The Republican Party right now is not doing that good of a job for its own constituency. So when the left sees that, wait a minute, the Republicans are also not happy, right? So why would I don't like the Democrats that much, but I also don't like the Republicans. What would you say is the best way to convince liberals that, okay, maybe not Republican, but at least conservative and independent? What would you say for people who want to, for young conservatives, they have the liberals, because we know liberals, they don't really want to that much debate with conservatives, but let's say they find people who are willing to debate. What would you say for those people? How is the best way for them to convince liberals to leave, to #walk away, or at this point, with the Biden administration, run away from the Democrat Party?
Well, so I think that's, when the Democrats are they have like their fears about where the country is headed, or what life under Trump would be like, and they seem to not really recognize or realize that pretty much everything they're afraid could happen under Trump already is happening under Biden. And that, the Democrats, when they're accusing someone else of doing something, it's usually something that they're doing themselves. So I think, you can tell people, look, you don't have to like the Republican Party, or, love the Republicans, or even, want to be a Republican. But I think you need to recognize at this point that the things you're most concerned about and most afraid of are already happening right now under the Democrats. And so, I view a vote as a Republican as the antidote to the Democrat Party and their increasing push toward the destruction of America. I mean, it is not sustainable for us to continue to have this migrant surge at the border. Even if we were to just look at that, I mean, we're talking about like millions of people coming into our country. And I think 4 more years of that type of migrant surge, we would never possibly be able to sustain it or survive it. And that's just one issue. And there's so many other things. So my goal right now is to try to get as many Democrats as possible to recognize, look, this is a life or death situation. We're talking about the life and death of America and our freedom. And so you can hate Donald Trump, you can hate the Republican Party, you can hate me if you want to. I really don't care. But I'm asking you to love and care about your country enough to say that you cannot vote for the Democrats, you cannot support the Democrats, because that's a support, that's a vote for destruction. And we simply don't have that option anymore at this point. And if we have to break it down, into more minute points, I'm happy to do that. But that's what we're going to be doing
Yeah,
this year
sure.
with the walkway. We're going to be going on a college tour and minority focused town halls and many other things, going specifically into these communities to break these issues down on a microscopic level, to get as many people as possible thinking for themselves and walking away.
Yeah, and this is very important work. This is, and they're not. I mean, aside from you, Scott Kressler, and maybe a handful of others, I don't see that many people actually doing outreach. They're doing a lot of within reach. They're reaching in within the Republican Party, which is as important. I will not knock that down at all, because we need low propensity Republican voters to go out and vote for the right cause, of course. But we don't see that much outreach to other people to the other side, because as I see it, and in a way I understand it, that the other side is in a way voting for I would say treason. It's a mindset that, oh my God, I can't believe they're voting for Joe Biden. Have you seen what Joe Biden is? They are selling out the United States for Ukraine, for Israel, for all other countries. All other countries come first, but we're not. So in their eyes, it might be treasonous. So they're like, no, we're not even going to try to talk to Democrats or independent Democratic minded voters. We're not going to do that. And I'm glad to see that you're actually doing that. And I've seen your pinned post about 50,000 testimonials and hundreds of events. Tell us more about that.
Right. So we started doing events and at the end of 2018 with Walkaway, and then we really launched in 2019. So we've gone to, oh Lord, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Philadelphia, Detroit, New York City, Harlem, Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, we've gone all over the country, and we don't just go to Republican groups and speak to conservatives about being conservative, and we're going into the heart of liberal communities and holding events, talking to Democrats as former Democrats, with a message of, look, we've been lied to, we've been manipulated, we were promised something that wasn't true. We were exploited, lied to, and manipulated, and it's time for us to think for ourselves and break free from this tribal mentality, the identity politics, the groupthink, and walk away. We also, do college tours, and so we've traveled to over 90 cities in the last 5 years. We have collected over 50,000 testimonials from people sharing their stories about why they're walking away or love the walk away movement. We have gone to dozens of colleges, and this year we're going to be doing much, much more. So, we've really, really exhausted ourselves and tried as hard as we could to reach as many people as we can. And we're going to keep doing that. We also launched our own app called Walkaway Social. Anyone watching can go to either their iOS or their Android app store and load our app. Check it out. It's great. Whether you're a walkaway or somebody who walks with the walkaway movement because you're a lifelong Republican or conservative, join us. There's state groups in all 50 states. We also just launched our new Facebook group because Facebook banned the walkaway campaign in January, right after January 6th of 2021. But we have a new walkaway group. People can join if they go to joinwalkaway.com. They'll be redirected to our walkaway group. But we're really out there doing a lot of outreach and a lot of work on the ground, as you said, and I appreciate you saying that, because I think not enough people are really getting out there and rolling up their sleeves and doing the hard work, but we're definitely a team that's doing that.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you pointed on something that most people do not, most conservatives or people who try to be effective, they're not really being effective conservatives. When they talk to liberals, they the words that they're using, the word of choice, or the things that they're espousing might be too advanced for liberals. And I don't mean advanced in an IQ level. I'm not trying to say liberals are dumb, but although some of them are. What I am saying is that that it's too far for them. You'd say that, let's say that January 6th was not an insurrection, which it wasn't. But for a liberal, here's that, okay, I can't take this guy seriously because you've already crossed the line. You need to take baby steps with liberals sometimes in order to get them on board with what you're going to say next, right? So this is a process. You can't just jump the gun and start talking too fast to them, because they're just going to shut down. And I've actually made an episode about liberals shutting down and how to combat that. Anyway, so I'm glad that you pointed out that you need to be able to talk effectively when you talk to them. And this is why I made a point about, when it comes to abortion, that conservatives need to stop calling it abortion bans, because a ban is, when you hear the word ban, they're taking something away from you. There was something here, banned it, and now it's not here anymore. So it's a negative word, and they immediately associate it with something negative. So you're taking away something from them. And then they shut down. No, we have to come out against this. And for some time now, I've been stop calling it abortion bans, call it a pro-life action, a pro-life advancement. I don't remember exactly the word, but call it some initiative. There's a word. Call it a pro-life initiative. Oh, initiative. That sounds interesting. Tell me more. It's more positive. You got to put a positive spin on things in order to be more effective when you talk to them. So that's something I've been talking for some time now, and I'm glad that you're actually doing it. You're speaking to the liberals the way the liberals want to be spoken to. And there is actually a book that actually can help out a lot. It's called Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. And if you want to understand more the psychology of conservative liberals, it's a very good book. It's a very good read. This guy, he is, I think he's more liberal-minded, but he is very open, and he understands. I would say he understands conservatism much more better than most people or most liberals. So I read that book. It's a very good read. Anyway, since we touched on January 6th, and this is what
I said, good suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah,
for the book.
Right. It's a very good read. Anyway, so since we touched on January 6th, January 6th is, it wasn't an insurrection as we already understand it, but liberals, some are shouting it that it was. And then you have the weaponization of the government against people such as yourself, who, as I understand, you were there, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I was on the grounds outside of the Capitol.
And I'm sure that you've got a chance to speak to Sonia Labasco about the Quad S program and so on and so forth, right? You know who she is. I was wondering, are you on that list?
Yes. So I was placed on the Quad S list, immediately after January 6th. And I remained on that list for, I think, about 2 years. And now I'm not on the Quad S list. So what seems to be happening is that the J6ers are placed on the Quad S list until they complete their jails sentences or whatever. For me, I was put on house arrest. So after I got off of house arrest in mid 2022, I tried to take a flight, and at that point discovered that I had been removed from the list. But yeah, I was on the list for whatever, a year and a half or whatever.
What's it like? What is it like specifically to be put on a list, to be dehumanized in front of everybody in such a way that, I mean, as I recall, you were also put in jail for some time, as I recall.
Yeah, I was FBI raided on January 25th of 2021. I was taken to jail. I sat in jail for several days. Then I got out of jail and was on pretrial supervision under federal supervision. And my sentence a year later was I got sentenced to house arrest for plea. I took a misdemeanor plea deal and got 3 months of house arrest at that point. And I'm still on probation until 2025. So I got 3 years of probation as well for a misdemeanor charge. But the Quad S list is, I mean, it's really pretty terrible. It's so basically what happens is when you go to the airport, you have to go through hours of screening to be able to board an airplane. And then the agents follow you around the airport everywhere you go. They bring packs of dogs. It's insane. And then when you get on an airplane, they have air marshals accompanying you on your flights. It's literally the highest level terrorism watch list you can be on and still be allowed to fly. So it's insane.
Yeah, I know all about it because I got the chance to interview Sonia Labasco, and I urge my viewers, go listen to that one, because that is something you will find out so much, and it's downright. I'm not even going to say the word, but it's a weaponization against American citizens at the behest of a hostile administration. I will say that much. So
Yes.
I told my inner group, my inner circle, that I will be interviewing you, and some came to me with just with some questions about, and we will be ending very soon, about that you cooperated with the FBI. And I told them, look, again, when it comes to these kinds of things, sometimes they can really, really screw you over if you don't to one degree or another cooperate. But I would like so they asked me to ask you to, if you were talking to them, to explain what the situation about that was.
Right. So every a condition of getting a plea deal for January 6th is that you have to interview with the FBI and the DOJ, which is called cooperation. So just like every other January 6er who took a plea deal, which is about 95% of the January 6th defendants, I sat down and interviewed with the government. I interviewed with the FBI and the DOJ, answered their questions. The media seem to only have interest in me in this situation, despite the fact that, like I said, this is something that every January 6th defendant has done. The media made it seem as though I gave information about other people, when in fact, when the FBI comes to your house, which is how my case started, they take your phones and your computers and all of your electronics. I mean, it's a pretty in some cases violent, but very aggressive seizure of your property. So there is no choice. There is no, um, voluntarily giving your phone or your computer or anything else. They come in and they take it. And then from that, they take your videos, they take your pictures, they take your emails, they take your social media accounts, your text messages. And in my case, I happen to have a lot of high profile contacts. And so the media reported that I provided information about various activists and people in the MAGA community. But there really wasn't much information to provide because I don't have any evidence of anybody committing any crimes, which is what I've maintained since the very beginning, including when I talked to the FBI and the DOJ. And the list of names of people that I provided information about, none of those people were ever charged with a crime or accused of any crimes, or as far as I know, ever. I don't even know that they were ever even visited by the FBI or DOJ. So any information that I provided didn't even result in an arrest, let alone a charge or conviction. So, I mean, I can't really tell you much more beyond that, other than the fact that the media just had a much larger interest in, I think, trying to smear my name and my reputation, which is why they made my cooperation into a story. But I did nothing any differently than any other January 6th defendant who took a plea deal.
It sounds like the media wanted to paint you this way because you're effective. You're somebody who needs to be taken down because you're a danger to the democracy. We live in a constitutional republic, for those who don't know.
Well,
Anyway, just one
yeah,
last
I mean,
question.
yeah, if we had more time to get into it, I mean, what I would say to you too is that this story about my cooperation began after I got through my sentencing and I started to go back out and get back to work. So I was out doing walkaway events, kind of rebuilding my movement, rebuilding my life, and the left-wing media was angry that January 6th did not destroy me and it didn't destroy Walkaway, which was their goal. And so the whole point of doing the cooperation story was to try to further damage my name and reputation and to try to create the belief that I'm not trustworthy or that I'm disreputable in some way. Thankfully, it didn't really work because not very many people believed it, and most people saw what they were trying to do. But that's the reason why they did it.
Just yeah, and by the way, let me just add on just one more thing about what you just said about they seized your laptops, phone, other kinds of information. I mean, at that point, when they have already, let's say, your passwords and everything, at that point, not cooperating with them, they could charge you for all kinds of other things. They already have the information; they just want your words at that point. So not cooperating with them just would be a foolish move. Once they have the information, it's not like you have everything, they have nothing. They already have the stuff they want, but
Right.
it would just be foolish. I mean, just common sense. Anyway, this is the last question, and this also from a circle who are a little displeased, but I'm just asking on their behalf. Is that some of them were upset that I don't remember where it was that you dressed up in January 6th in a defendant, the prison clothing, in a prison makeshift prison. Yeah, I don't remember the place where it was. I'm sure that you do. Yeah, in a cell. So they said, some of them. I tried to explain this again. He was in a jail. I mean, if there's anybody who's allowed to do this, it shouldn't be you. Somebody who's actually gone through this. But they were a little bit upset that in their eyes it was mocking January 6th defendants. So what would be your message to them? That again, I don't believe that. But what would be your message to them?
Well, so the cell that you're talking about, this is basically like a performance art piece that I did at CPAC in Dallas in 2022. And so maybe the people who feel that way, maybe they don't understand what it was. So I paid $15,000 for the space that I used to do that performance art piece. So that cost me $15,000 to do. Well, that was just for the space. Then it cost me an additional, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to actually rent the jail cell. So we rented a jail cell, we built it, and then in addition to that, I also rented 20 pairs of headphones that plug into a multi-channel system. And then I went and I found I don't know, probably about 10 or 15 January 6th defendants and had them record audio recordings of their stories, sharing what they went through, what the FBI raid was like, what going to jail was like, what this has done to their lives and their reputations. And then we took those audio recordings and we put them on different channels, and people could come and put the headsets on and switch through the different channels and listen to different January 6th defendants share their stories while looking into the jail cell at a person dressed in an orange uniform with a red MAGA hat on in various poses of suffering. So it was both audio and visual, and hundreds of people came to the cells, put on the headphones, listened to the stories. Many of them cried and wept while they were listening, while watching. And it was a really powerful experience. So I can't imagine why anybody would be upset about that. And like I said, it cost me a great deal of money to do it. And it was totally worth it because it really touched a lot of people. And I think it opened a lot of people's eyes to something they didn't know before about January 6th.
Yeah, personally, the way you put it down right now, I must say, I think it's a noble thing actually to raise awareness for that. Anyway, this interview has been amazing. Thank you very much. You've been more than generous on your part in partaking. Thank you very much. So,
Thanks,
for those who want to get involved, for those who want to be part of the walkaway movement, they want to join, or they want to just want to follow you, they want to hear more, they want to continue the conversation. Where can they find you?
They can go to walkawaycampaign.com. And like I said, I would highly encourage anybody watching to join our new Facebook group. They can do that by obviously going to Facebook and searching for hashtag walkaway campaign and joining our group. Or if they have a hard time finding it, they can go to joinwalkaway.com, which will redirect them into the group. And I'd also love people to load our new app, Walkaway Social, and get on there and join the community on Walkaway Social. So join our Facebook group, load our app, and if you want to, join our email list and our texting list, go to walkawaycampaign.com and You'll learn a lot more about the movement and the work that we're doing. We'd love to have your support. We'd love to have all of you get involved.
Yes, and for those who want to follow me, you can follow me at Aaron Politidoxy on Twitter, or you could follow me on Aaron Friedman on Instagram. You can also want to email me at politidoxy@gmail.com. Please share, like, comment. Here also on Spotify, you could leave a comment, new thing, and the most important thing you could do: share this message, share this episode, and remember, my fellow radicals, stay political.